Welcome to the chaos sector. Do you guys believe me now? Do you finally see the truth in plain sight? I'm not that angry now, because I feel we've done enough to get Harris some form of justice with our episodes. Curtis is an old bitter wench who doesn't deserve the praise she has gotten. In Hollywood, those with power control more than you think. Jamie Lee Curtis is the daughter of an actress, so she was already operating from a place of privilege. Once she established herself as the so-called scream queen and first main character in Halloween, it was difficult for anyone else to get around her star power in the franchise. But she can't carry the franchise alone, there has to be more depth in the storyline. And so the next chapter was inevitable. Danielle Harris was introduced because, well, Laurie vs. Myers would obviously get boring to the fans. Ironic, isn't it, because that's exactly what happened. Harris was implemented into the storyline as Laurie Strode's daughter. I don't care what Curtis says, I don't care what Carpenter says, I don't care what anyone involved with the 1988 film says, the original script for that film was Curtis was supposed to return with a daughter. Just like all other films post-Harris, Curtis has children in the storyline, and she is physically in those films. Don't you find it strange that Curtis didn't return with the first child in the storyline, but returns as a mother in H2O, and the current retcons? The difference? Jamie Lloyd played a significant role compared to John Tate in H2O, who is in fact his nephew. But there wasn't a backstory, so it was void of any intensity. Of course Laurie Strode has children in the current retcons, but she is not related to Myers. The point though, is Curtis had no problem playing a mother in those films, but obviously rejected the idea of being Danielle Harris's mother. Curtis didn't want to co-star alongside Harris, because Harris was a very outspoken child who had a charisma about her that would definitely overshadow Curtis's performance. She saw this unfolding, envisioning rehearsals, and ultimately in the film. So she rejected the role, and the production team had to come up with a logical reason for Laurie Strode to not be in the return of Michael Myers. So, they just created a storyline where Laurie died in a car crash. Now this was in 1988, what film did Curtis star in during this time frame? She played in a film titled, A Fish Called Wanda. A Fish Called Wanda was based on, get this, Curtis's character, named Wanda Dershowitz. Now there were other stars in the film, but they were males, and she was generally the focus of the film. My point? Curtis has always been a spoiled actress, she has to be the center of attention. And with Danielle Harris crashing her party, Curtis's role would never be the same as the first two films. It's one thing to just step aside, leaving the franchise to an up-and-coming actress in Harris. Or embrace your co-star and make great Halloween films for the fans to enjoy. That would have been the logical thing to do. But she couldn't accept the fact that she was no longer the main character in Halloween. And that's where the problem comes in. Being a piece of shit is common in Hollywood, but many know when to accept they have been humbled. Curtis was humbled with Harris's arrival, but she didn't embrace it. It all happened so fast, she was still receiving praise for her previous performances, and all of a sudden, a new character had been introduced? Why do I have to share the spotlight with someone else? It should be Laurie versus Myers, she thought to herself. But because she doesn't understand how film production works, Curtis thought it would be Laurie versus Myers to the end of time. Negative, producers have ideas, directors have ideas, heck, even fans have ideas that bring about more creativity and more excitement. I don't think Curtis would have had a problem with another child actor or actress, it was something about Danielle Harris that rubbed her the wrong way. And that something was her charisma. Take a listen to Danielle Harris from behind the scenes of Halloween 5.
Differs from Halloween 4 from Halloween 5. In Halloween 4 she's younger and she doesn't know very much about this guy, her uncle, and she's just mainly running from him and trying to get away from this killer, boogeyman, nightmare man, whatever you want to call him. And in Halloween 5, she knows a little more about him, she knows what he can do, she knows more things to do to him. You know, she's smarter now and she knows ways to capture him and to get him put away, and she's just more mature.
This child was too talented for Curtis to co-star alongside. She felt inadequate, perhaps even intimidated by this well-spoken little girl. And the fight for the spotlight begins. Behind closed doors, Curtis and her co-conspirators had a plan. They had to get Danielle Harris out of the picture, by any means necessary. It took strategic planning, because they also had to factor in how popular Harris had become with the Halloween fanbase. The complexities with Akkad and Dimension films appeared to be the distraction they needed. Daniel Farron's script was altered by unknown persons, and the 1995 film kills off Jamie Lloyd. On top of this, Harris had legally become an adult to return to her role only to be treated like an insignificant character, such as a random actor to fill in the cast. A niece of the killer? A daughter of the main character, who is the younger sister of that killer. For her to be treated the way she was obviously hinted at foul play behind closed doors. And sure enough, Curtis returns soon after. I knew then that something was suspicious about her return. Because the film had big names and Curtis had returned, most people completely forgot about the previous film and its storyline. This was the plan: eliminate the competition and everything that came before you. Doesn't matter if it's a young 17-year-old at the time, she has to be eliminated. So fucking disgusting. But there was a problem with this plan. Lack of plot development. H2O did well at the box office, but Resurrection reached a dead zone in the storyline. Why? Because for one, Laurie Strode dies off, Myers is fried like chicken, and it ended with a clip of him opening his eyes. If Laurie dies off, then Myers doesn't have any real motive anymore, right? So you got 2 buckets of crap after the 1995 film that led nowhere in plot development. No new characters derived from Resurrection, so there was no purpose for another Halloween. So what exactly did these films accomplish? Nothing, except being used to erase a previous timeline and its young actress. Curtis claimed she never wanted to return to Halloween, but I see right through her wall of bullshit. She has to say this, because it makes her appear exhausted with the franchise. Oh, I'm so mentally tired, I don't actually like horror films, it was fun while it lasted, yeah, all of the gibberish to dupe her fanbase and the media. Meanwhile, it never dawned on them that this same person who had grown beyond Halloween had returned to do not only 2 retcons, but recently, did an additional 3 more retcons. From the original, that is a total of 7 out of 10 Halloween films. We don't include Season of the Witch, of course. But then again, Curtis technically starred in the film as the announcer of the town's curfew. So if you didn't plan on returning to Halloween, why have you starred in 7 out of 10 of the fuckers? Spare us the double talk. Fast forwarding to the recent garbage she has displayed once more. Harris and Taylor approach the old bag of bones and give her praise for her work. And with no remorse, she claims to have never watched the films they starred in and doesn't know who they are. Classic superiority complex. You will never compare to me, I am the baddest bitch in the Halloween franchise, and don't you little girls forget it. You wouldn't even be standing here if it weren't for me, you little ungrateful sluts. I don't even know why they invited you, shouldn't even be seen in the same room as me. Yep, that's her, hit it right on the head. And it's quite crazy to me, because everyone knows this is who she is, and has always been. She thought a young woman Ana de Armas, born in Cuba, was unsophisticated and inexperienced. Why would she assume this? Because she's a classist, prejudiced piece of cow dung. Why would a classist, prejudiced piece of cow dung actually say what she assumed out loud? Because she's so arrogant, it didn't register in her brain that it was offensive. Ignorant people don't have the same brain function as normal people. Here's the thing. When you're someone with class, and you respect others regardless of any discrepancies, you don't have those kinds of thoughts to even say out loud. But when you have such a classless, ignorant personality, there are millions of negative thoughts about others, who you feel are beneath you. Recently, she was her typical rude self, being interviewed by Sunrise's showbiz correspondent Steve Hargrave. The guy was just having fun, being silly, pulling out props, and wearing a Michael Myers mask. Curtis, thinking she is literally a queen, dismisses him and insulted the guy throughout the interview. He seemed to take it quite well, responding with witty comebacks. And of course, this only made her more agitated, because her plan was to embarrass him in the interview. Why not just have fun? Why not just embrace the playful banter Hargrave presented? Now we could say that she was acting, pretending to be agitated and rude to the guy. But this never was established, Curtis never laughed it off, and said, "Just kidding, Steve." So, this was how she actually behaved in the interview. This wretched old hag believes that a fictional character makes her royalty in real life. Listen here, you piece of garbage, a film is not real, but how you treat people is. And you have shown time and time again that you have no class whatsoever. And the only reason people seek to interview Curtis is because of Halloween. Thank Michael Myers for that, because you would be nothing without him. And she didn't even thank Myers, she trashed his legacy in the end. I wouldn't interview her if my life depended on it. But many are so captivated by her, despite her rude and disrespectful personality. What is that? She's clearly a bipolar individual because the same playful banter of Hargrave is the same fucking playful banter Curtis would display herself regarding Halloween. One minute she's happy and silly, the next she's agitated and rude. This is a sign of a schizophrenic who is not mentally stable. A prime example of an individual who doesn't have social skills. And she might be a sociopath as well. A sociopath, similar to a schizophrenic, can't socialize with others in a normal way, on a consistent basis. There is always dysfunctional behavior seeping out, because they are fucking insane. And when you combine this with her narcissism, she's literally a walking train wreck. But, I don't feel sorry for her, I feel sorry for those who she offended, and those who she conspired against. Nobody came to Danielle Harris's defense all this time until we presented the truth. There has never been a series of videos that explain the deep dark secrets surrounding the Halloween franchise until we did it. Nobody has broke down the origins of Halloween, proving that Michael Myers knew who Laurie Strode was until we did it. We will never support a person who has been so toxic that it literally ruined another person's acting career. Yes, Harris's career suffered due to not being able to complete her official storyline in Halloween. She has found success, no doubt, because she is a hard worker. But she never had the privilege of having the machine behind her, pushing her career to greater heights. Jamie Lloyd needed to grow up, establishing Harris as an actress that demanded respect as she also grew older. More star power means more respect, more demand. Unfortunately, all of these assets are possessed by someone who doesn't deserve any of it. Instead of Curtis on the red carpet for the premiere of Halloween Ends, it would be Danielle Harris. After all, Curtis stated she didn't want to return to the franchise, right? Okay, then move bitch, get out the way. But no, I'm not going anywhere, gatekeeping the franchise from a more talented, more likable, more dedicated, and more respectful, Danielle Harris. That's why Curtis appears so miserable, because the guilt of what she did is breaking her down. And to finally meet the one person you conspired against? Now that was a heavy burden on her conscience. Yet she has to play it off, she will take the secret to the grave. Just admit to Harris in private at least, that you were behind her character being killed off. You were simply jealous of the star power she had, and you would soon take a backseat to her in the franchise. Confess, and get that weight off your shoulders, right? Not likely, it's been so long, she's even more stubborn with old age. But she might want to be careful, because it may come out anyway, by force. Some may say, come on, she's an old woman now, take it easy on her, stop bullying the helpless. Have you heard what this old woman has said about her co-stars? Being the type of old person Curtis is, it's like that bitter old grandmother that the grandchildren dread going to visit. She hates them because it only reminds her she will die soon. So she treats them like crap, disregarding them, showing them no affection. 2 of her granddaughters come to visit, and she just walks away from the doorstep. They try to communicate, and she tells them to shut up. They cry, and sit in the corner. Those 2 granddaughters were Danielle Harris and Scout Taylor. This is the Chaos Sector, Film Reviews.